I'm more concerned with the human condition and how we can improve it. That's the question. The answer? Evolve. Am I my brother's keeper? Yes. Good morning, Columbia, South Carolina, and of course to everyone who is listening to us via the web. Welcome to Evolve, and I am your host, Tazima, on this, today is Thursday. My goodness. You guys think I'd be joking when I have to pause and remember what day of the week it is, and I am not joking, okay? But anyway, we're going to have a great show for you today. I know there's so much going on in the news, but we'll save that for another day because I really look forward to having the conversation with my guest and latest sponsor of Evolve. And so who I have in the studio today with me is Ronald Wright, and he's the CEO of Money Solutions. And we're going to be talking about finances today and how you can get yourself out of foreclosure if you find yourself in it, unfortunately. He's also going to talk about taking our signature rights back. Again, more stuff that I didn't know, and probably most of us didn't know. As a matter of fact, I said, listen, is this on the up and up? Because I want to make sure. I don't want to put any false information out there. And he assures me that everything is, and he will also assure you of that. So again, in the studio, I have Ronald Wright. Ronald, welcome back. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you for having me on your show.
So, you know what, before we get into the show, I already have someone on the line, and I don't know who it is. And normally, if my streaming or something isn't working, a caller call in. So let me find out what's going on, and then we'll get right into the show. Okay, caller, you're on the air. Caller? Okay, cool. So maybe they weren't sure, you know. So anyway, so we're going to start off this conversation talking about taking our signature rights in the financial world. So exactly what is that, taking our signature rights?
Well, first of all, Tazima, what I would like to also make a declaration of that I am not an attorney. Mm-hmm. A Money Solution is not an attorney firm, but what we do is we research and we gather information that could be solutions for people, money matters and money situations. And so this particular topic we talk about today, as far as taking back our signature right, a lot of times we don't realize the power behind our signature. Mm-hmm. Because when we put our signature on a piece of paper, we're actually syndicating that that we are aware of what's written in the actual contract or whatever it is, agreement that you are actually signing, and you are binding yourself to the provisions that's been written in whatever it is that you are signing.
Right.
And so at that time is once we put our signature on that piece of paper, it's a done deal. Mm-hmm. Now, what's been happening in the financial industry has been a direct violations of our signature. Because, say, for example, one of the key things that we're dealing with right now is foreclosure. Mm-hmm. And you understand how the mortgage system works, whereas, you know, you might sign with this particular bank or this mortgage company, and about 6 to 12 months down the road, they turn around and then they sells your note to another mortgage company. Mm-hmm. And this goes on throughout the whole course of your 15 to 30 years of paying this mortgage.
So you're saying that if, I'm just using this as an example, so let's say that Bank of America has your mortgage, or you bought your house and Bank of America is who your mortgage is through.
That's right.
You're saying in 6 to 12 months, Bank of America then sells it to someone else?
Yes, they could very well sell. They have been actually selling it to someone else altogether.
And it just keeps moving. And so that's why people were able to go into court and say, produce my documentation, and the bank couldn't. Like when they would foreclose on people, they couldn't produce it. That's
correct, because see, what happened is they digitize your signature and promissory note. Mm-hmm. So the actual original paper with the wet ink is no longer available. So what they're doing, they're actually really making money just off your signature, which is a violation.
Okay, I'm already. Okay, go on.
And what you did, you alerted to one of the things that was going to be leading up to what I was talking about, your signature, because that is another reason why a lot of people need to know that when they foreclose on your home, one of the major defense is show me the note. Mm-hmm. Which they can't show you the note. Mm-hmm. And so what happens is, in order to reestablish our rights in the financial industry, and this is called like operate on a higher level of finance than we've been used to, mm-hmm. is to whenever you sign a piece of document, especially dealing with finances, mm-hmm. you need to put a note above your signature. And that note should read, all rights reserved without prejudice, mm-hmm. comma, capital letter UCC 1-308.
UCC 1-308.
And what that UCC stands for is the Uniform Commercial Code, which is like the Bible of financial transaction. And what that does, that alerts them that you are aware of your signature rights.
So you're saying that whenever you purchase anything, mm-hmm. a house, a vehicle, whatever, mm-hmm. property, land, that when you sign for that, you should write above your signature, all rights reserved without prejudice, mm-hmm. and then comma UCC 1-308.
That's correct.
So people can Google UCC 1-308, right?
Yes, they can.
And find out for themselves what that is.
That's correct. That's correct.
All right. Well, you know what? We've got another call on the line. So let me give out the number real quick. If you have a question for Ronald, please feel free to call in 748-9293, 748-9293. The area code is 803, of course. Let me go to the phone lines. Caller, you on the air. Caller? I don't know why that's happening. Okay, anyway, 748-9293, 748-9293. Hopefully everything is working properly with the phone. So, okay, again, so when people are signing for stuff and then they digitize your signature, you're saying that that's illegal.
That is illegal. Now, sad to say that a lot of people, I dealt with a potential client earlier this week that actually thought that was fine. She said, well, that was what the mortgage companies in business for, to make money, to get you a loan, and then, and then they turn around and they sell it on, and then they notify you that they have sold your loan to someone else. Mm-hmm. And I said, no, that's what we've been accustomed to.
Right.
Not knowing our rights and stuff like that, because you can literally, because see, when they send you the notice, they already sold your promissory note.
Okay, let's try this again with these phone lines. Okay, caller, you're on the air. I don't know why I can't hear this caller. Caller, I don't know what's going on with the phone lines. I've got everything turned up, so I don't know. I'm going to have to see if I can get Frank in here to find out what's going on. So if you can hear me, I'm sorry I can't hear you, so gotta let you go. I don't know what's happening with the phone lines. I'm not sure, but during commercial break, we'll try to fix that. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the phone lines. Okay, but anyway, okay, so I don't think that's right. I mean, so if I was to sell you a car and I'm holding the title to the vehicle, and then I turn around, you're making payments to me for the vehicle, and I turn around and I sell the title, or I sell the title to someone else, but you're still paying me. It just seems so confusing.
Well, see, what happened is once you sell that promissory note to another company, you're no longer paying that particular company that you was paying prior, because they took the note and they made money off of it and sent it to someone else. Now you're going to pay that particular individual. I got a prime example. One of your listeners actually called in this week in reference to someone that she know that was having some that was in foreclosure. She told me that this friend of hers had been in foreclosure for over a year with Bank of America.
Okay.
They were going for what is called a short sale, and her friend had an offer on the table that was offering more than what the bank was asking for the property. That should have been a slam dunk deal. But what Bank of America did, she said, is drag it out. Then all of a sudden, they sends her a notice, let her know that they have sold her note to someone else, to another company, and now they have to start all over. Well, they lost the offer.
Wow.
Now, this goes back to let you know that the system is really not designed to help you.
Right.
Because, see, if anyone understands about short sales to avoid foreclosure, it only benefits the bank. It doesn't benefit the actual customer, because whatever that short sales was, that home will sell for, less than what they owe, it only subtract from the balance, and so the homeowner still have a obligation, according to the bank, to pay the difference. Now, if they had an offer on the table that was going to pay more than what the bank was asking, that should have put that particular customer in the clear.
Right.
But instead of their moving forward to accept that offer, they let it drag along until the offer went off the table, and they sold it to another mortgage company. Now this customer now is back at square one.
So wait, so did Bank of America sell the mortgage prior to this person doing the short sale, or after?
No. The short sale was on the table before all of this took place.
Okay.
And they did not move forward to accept it. Instead, they sold the note to another mortgage company.
I just don't see how that's legal. Okay, I'm putting everybody on hold. Hopefully I'll be able to hear you guys, okay? All right, caller, you're on the air. I don't know what's going on. Caller, you're on the air.
Mr. Zima.
Yes, okay, apparently your phone is working. How are you today?
Good morning, Mr. Zima.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guest, the CEO and founder and HNI, of Money Solutions.
Okay. Do you have a comment?
I'm just saying, y'all sound like you're helping people, because there's so many people still underwater. That's probably why there's still this soft, slow recovering economy, because you have so many people in my neighborhood where I live are being ushered out of their house, short sale, foreclosure, and I even know of a scenario right here in this big old Columbia, South Carolina, where the neighborhood president person's husband is the one that's on the side of the one that's kicking people out of the household.
Oh, gosh.
Yep.
I tell you.
Build it on one end, tear it down on the other end. Wow. And it's happening every day right here in the famously hot Columbia, South Carolina. So I'm glad it's Mr. Ronald Wright is, out there reaching and helping the least of these. He's doing the very principle of the book that I read often.
And that book is?
The Bible, Miss wonderful talk show host.
I know that.
Greatest talk show host in here in the Metro and streaming World Wide Web.
Well,
international.
Thank you for your kind words. But of course, I know that your favorite book is, or your most powerful book is the Bible.
The Bible.
But we want to let the audience know. Just because I know it doesn't mean that the audience knows it. So
I know that's right. I thought they were all audio. I didn't know they had to be visual learn over there. It got to be audio learned and listen to the radio.
All right, David. Thank you so much for calling in too.
Always.
All right.
Have a great show.
You too. Oh, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay. I missed some of your calls, so please call back in. Area code 803-748-9293, 748-9293. Mr. Ronald Wright, the CEO of Money Solutions, is in the studio. You can go to the website. It's birthingmoney.com, birthingmoney.com. And today we're talking about foreclosures and how powerful your signature is. So that young lady or the young man lost the opportunity to sell the house. So they would have been able to pay off what they owed the bank and plus had a little extra.
Yes, more likely.
But the bank was really slow at working with them and ended up selling their mortgage to someone else. I mean, that just seems so illegal.
Yes, and I hope if that caller, that listener that called into our office, if she is listening, I would like for her to actually call in now and doing the show also. Yeah. Well,
I'm going to give out the numbers to your office again, too. Locally, that number is 457-3499, 457-3499. And there's also an 800 number, and that number is 877-429-4605, 877-429-4605. So how does one really take their signature back? How do you get that back?
Really, basically, is just like I said, every time you sign a piece of document, place this phrase above your signature: all rights reserved without prejudice.
So let me ask you this, okay? So we're selling a house, okay? And the house is in Virginia, and I'm in South Carolina. So when we sign the contract, are you saying that I need to put this as a part of my signature?
That's correct.
Because if I don't, then the person who bought the house doesn't really have it.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, the reason why you want to do that is, especially when you deal with lending institutions and you sign a contract with them, you're putting them on notice that you are aware of your rights of your signature. And so you don't want them to go and do things that is illegal with your signature because you are aware. Now, that lets them know that they could be sued. Okay. If they do anything outside of what your signature was placed for.
Okay, so I get it. So you're saying that you want to sign any legal documents with this added quote, I guess, to your signature, so that you're putting the bank on notice or the lender on notice that, listen, I know what's up. And if you sell my mortgage or if you sell my name, basically my signature, I'm going to sue you.
That's right, without my permission. In other words, what they should do, if they're going to do something, they should, first of all, before they even sell it, attempt to sell it, is to contact you, let you know what's going on, and let you decide whether or not you want your signature, you want to do that, what they're attempting to do.
I'm just, okay, 748-9293, 748-9293. So, talk to us about people who are in foreclosure.
Well, that brings us to our next topic, because this is a very big deal. This goes for people in foreclosure and people who are not in foreclosure. The truth that has been hid from us for all these years is that we did not know and we were not told that we need to accept, we need to acknowledge and accept our deed. Every homeowner has a deed that is registered in their county. That deed is actually a contract that you have been given. And 99.9% of Americans today have not accepted or closed the deal on that contract.
Really?
Because reason why you haven't closed the deal, because number one, you hadn't been told, and the reason why you haven't been told, this is the open door in which they are able to foreclose on your property. Because you never accepted full ownership of your property by getting a certificate of acknowledgement and acceptance of your deed.
A certificate of acknowledgement.
That's correct.
Certificate. Okay, everybody. Certificate of acknowledgement
and acceptance of your deed.
Correct.
So
when you don't have that, that allows them to be able to foreclose. So are you saying that if you have that, let's say you have that, your certificate of acknowledgement and the deed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you have that,
mm-hmm.
and something happens and you can't pay your mortgage,
mm-hmm.
then what?
Guess what? They can't foreclose on your home.
Really?
That's correct.
They cannot.
They cannot
but
foreclose on your home. But
haven't you broke the contract? If you're 90 days late, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you have this deed, the certificate of acknowledgement.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're telling me that if you fall behind and you're 90 days, because it's usually 90 days. I've never been in foreclosure, so I don't know, but it's normally 90 days, I believe,
yes.
before
mm-hmm.
they'll start foreclosure paper work on you.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying that as long as you have this certificate of acknowledgement, they can't foreclose on you even then?
No, they can't foreclose you even then. This is what takes place when you have that certificate of acknowledgement. When you have that certificate of acknowledgement, you have taken full ownership of that property. They have to come to you and lay claim to your property as an individual, not a corporation, not a company, not representing a corporation, not representing a company. They have to come as an individual and lay claim to your property. But if you don't have that in place, all they got to do is use the deed of the mortgage deed that's also filed with your deed and take possession of your property.
So the certificate of acknowledgement usurps the mortgage deed.
That's
is what
correct.
You're saying.
That's correct.
What? Okay, so
and that's why you haven't heard of it, because they don't want that to be disclosed.
Because that's the loophole that they can, right.
Yeah, that's the default.
All right, let's try this again. I'm going back to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the air.
Okay, I kind of forgot what I called.
I am so sorry. I'm so sorry.
But anyway, what are the words that I need to write above my name every time I sign a contract?
All rights reserved without prejudice, and then comma, and then UCC 1-308.
Okay.
You got that?
I'm writing it down. Could you repeat it one more time?
Sure. All rights reserved.
Without prejudice.
Without prejudice.
Comma.
And then comma. And then UCC 1-308.
308. And where do you get a certificate of acknowledgement from?
The certificate of acknowledgement is a paperwork that has to be drafted by an individual and then notarized and taken to the courthouse or wherever you register your deeds at and file. And so basically what you have to do, you have to get someone who knows how to put together the certificate of acknowledgement and acceptance, and that is what we offer. We have the actual format to do that.
All right.
Okay. Well, was that the question you had?
Yes, I just mainly wanted to know what that quote was.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, and thank you for holding on.
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay. 748-9293. 748-9293. I have the CEO of Money Solutions in the studio today, Ronald Wright. I'm so bad with names, Ronald. You'll figure this one out, okay? I am really bad with names. But we're going to go back to the phone lines. Okay, caller, you're on the air.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Hey, how are you?
Hey, pretty good. This doesn't sound, there's got to be something to this. Whole
That's what I thought.
I mean, I can just go buy a house, get this, quit my job, get this, and I live in my house for free. Now, that would never happen.
You know what? I thought the same. I thought the same thing, caller, and that's why I'm kind of pushing him, and I've been pushing him off the air. You have to prove this to me, because like you, I'm like, wait a minute, okay? You're telling me that people can just do this, but apparently it's something that you can do the research yourself. But go on, Ronald, would you?
Well,
I would think more people would do this, and anybody that can notarize would take advantage of this, and this would be a big black market. You know, like, hey, give me your information, I can notarize you for $1,000, and everybody be making money off this. I can't see this being legal, or this, you know, actually holding up in a court at the end of the day. Because if you owe somebody money, if you sign a contract, you're liable for that contract. It doesn't matter if somebody notarizes something, I would think.
I think go on, Ronald.
All right, this particular procedure is not there for people to take advantage of and run away and don't take advantage, don't fulfill their obligation, not at all. But what it actually does is, in order for you to take full ownership, establish full ownership of that property, you must accept the deed to close the loophole. Now,
because the truth is they've been taking advantage of you all this time. And I think that we're so conditioned to that anything else that says, oh no, actually you have some rights that you can, push back with. And it's like, it's foreign to us, because we're like, are you serious? You mean I have power against these big banks or these large corporations? And that's basically what you're telling us.
That's right. Because basically what happens is they knew this all along. They know this. So what it is okay, don't tell them. They don't know. So when they fall behind, all we got to do is foreclose on the mortgage deed, because they never going to, 9 times out of 10 they think to themselves, this lender, this borrower is not going to ever think about or come to the knowledge of knowing that they need to accept and acknowledge their deed.
And how would you know if you
haven't been told? If
you haven't been told,
that's right.
Like, how would you know that? But going back to what the caller said, I can see people, what I think is going to happen is that down the line they're going to change the law. They're going to make it right where that's not good enough anymore, because if enough people figure that out, especially enough people listening to the show, and begin to file for their certificates of acknowledgement, that's going to put people on notice.
That's
that we know what's happening. So with our government, I can see, well, we need to put another law up there, because people are not, we can't get money out of them anymore. We're not able to take back their property. And the saddest thing about that is that to own a home, to own your own home, is like half of the American dream. The other half is to be successful and have a family and all this other good stuff, right? But the cornerstone to that is to be able to own your own property. And so for so many people who lost that, many of them through no fault of their own, a lot of jobs got shipped overseas. A lot of people had those inflatable mortgages or adjustable mortgages that went through the roof. A lot of people lost their property.
That's right.
And the banks got over big time. So anything, in my opinion, anything that's going to protect the consumer, I'm down with it. But I would suggest you guys just Google what you're saying, right?
That's right.
Certificate of acknowledgement.
Certificate of acknowledgement. Because, see, it's not a matter of just going to somebody and getting the information and notarizing. No, it's a little bit more to it than that. We don't give our full disclosure of how we do everything, but what it is certain things that we need to do in order to produce that document, and then they take it and they get it notarized, and then they go to the courthouse, file this paper along with another copy of their registered deed, and the courts are going to issue you a certificate of acknowledgement.
So it's more complex than like somebody just going online and saying, "Oh, I'm gonna print off this certificate of acknowledgement."
No, it's not just that simple.
Okay,
it's not just that simple.
Let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, you on the air?
Yes, hello, folks.
Hey, Obsidian, how are you?
I'm here for the most part. Just been busy. I had to commend you for raising the intelligence of the everyday person that think they're basically owning their own home and so forth and realizing they're being ringed. I can appreciate you raising that intelligence so that way they can protect themselves, because you're right. The legal system as it's been set up, or what arena that is in, is going to say, oh, crap, we need to change things legal-wise and try to ring people again and keep them below belt. For that matter, so I commend you for that. 2, you can also start page that information, so that way you can also keep your privacy intact as well.
Yeah, Start Page is a new search engine that doesn't track where you've been or what you've been typing in. So startpage.com. I need to get them as a sponsor. I'm giving out.
Okay, but for the past 2 months or better or longer, and I don't have an issue with various things popping up trying to get my attention. It's like, oh my gosh.
Right.
So, go figure. Have a great one.
All right, Obsidian, thanks a lot. Yeah, she called in last week to tell us about a new search engine, because Google and all them track wherever you go, and that's called startpage.com. And that way they're not tracking. I don't know, everything. It's so many crazy things. They're tracking you anyway. We were just talking about before we came on the air, what's going on with your phone, okay? How the government has managed to get all these phone numbers and stuff. We're just living in a bizarre world. But back to finances. Okay, so you're saying that it's a much more complex situation than people being able to just Google that, like I said earlier, and get this form, and that's why. Yeah,
there's no form that they can actually get offline.
Right.
Basically.
But this is why people need to come to you, right? And get your services, because you guys have it in place so that you can make sure that person is able to obtain that certificate of acknowledgement.
And we back up 100% of our work. In other words, if you take a paper down to the courthouse and there's an error on it, we'll make those adjustments and fix them for free.
How long does it take for a person, let's say someone calls you today, set up an appointment, and then they want this certificate of acknowledgement. About how long does it take for a person to receive that?
Well, based upon how long it takes them to get me a copy of their registered deed, and get it into the office, it could take us anywhere from 1 to 2 days to have it prepared. And then when they pick it up and they go, and how long ever it takes for them to go to the courthouse and file it, because there are certain procedures that you have to follow in order to file it. Once it's filed, even though you don't have the certificate yet, it's already on record that you have acknowledged your and accepted your deed. So
people that are in foreclosure, they can call you today. Okay, if someone is in foreclosure right now, they can call you today, and you can start this process for them.
So that they can go down quickly and get it filed.
Well, what if they can't get their a copy of their deed based on what you were saying earlier?
They can get a copy of their deed. I mean, we can even pick up a copy of their deed if that's the issue.
Was it? Wait a minute. Did you say deed or mortgage? What?
The deed.
Oh,
the registered deed.
The registered deed.
Yeah, the registered deed. All you do is go down to deeds and records at the courthouse and ask for a copy of your deed.
So it doesn't matter if let's say your lender has sold your agreement or whatever, okay, and now you find yourself in foreclosure. So it doesn't matter if the lender sold, the contract that you signed to someone else. It doesn't matter if they can't produce the original signature and all of that stuff. What you're telling people is that if you want to make sure that you keep your property, if you find yourself in foreclosure, there is a way to avoid that.
There is a way to avoid that just by simply acknowledging and accepting your registered deed
And calling you.
That's right. Calling me. That's right.
All right.
Because they gotta secure themselves, their ownership of that property first. Now, as what the other caller was saying earlier about, you got this obligation that's not going. What it boiled down to is there are laws that's already in place, and until they change that law, this is what we're going to take advantage of.
Right.
Because basically, once you put that in place, they no longer come to you as representative of Bank of America to take your home. Mm-hmm. If someone's going to come and lay a claim and lien against your property, they have to come as an individual. That's already in place. So that's where the loophole that the mortgage company don't want people to find out about.
So, but the mortgage company cannot come as an individual, though.
Not as an individual.
So the only way this works is if the contract is between me and you.
That's correct.
So, I'm sorry. I'm just sitting over here. I am just blown away by this information. You know what? We're going to go into a quick commercial break because it's about time. I'm looking at the clock, and you guys know I'm really bad with this, but I'm so happy to have Ronald in the studio with us today. So you all know you're listening to Evolve on WOIC 1230 Columbia. I'm Tazima. And again, yes, we have Ronald Wright, CEO of Money Matters, in the studio with us today talking about foreclosures, the power of your signature. I mean, it's mind-boggling, but information we need. All right, 748-9293, 748-9293. Everybody, that's right. It's time to move on. I know it's kind of challenging believing some of this stuff. I totally get that because I'm right there with you. When I first heard it, I was like, whoa, this is, really? But, we got to also consider a lot of us have been conditioned to believe and to think a certain way. So when someone comes, I remember, I think it was the Honorable Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad, who said that if you give a person a glass that's dirty with dirty water and they never see a clean glass of water, they will think that the dirty glass of water is normal, that it's natural. And until you are able to show them a clean glass of water, they won't know they have a choice. They won't even know that clean water exists. Right. And I think that's what happens for a lot of us. We, like you were saying during the break, we're in a system that's so corrupt that we've become used to it. We think that this is the norm, and it's not. And so when someone comes along saying to you, no, that's not fair, it's not right, and it's not legal what they are doing, we're so conditioned to believe that they've got all the power, so they've got to be doing what's right, that anybody who brings any information that challenges that, we look at them out of the side of our eye, thinking, okay, what scheme are you coming up with?
That's correct.
So we were talking about obligations during the commercial break. I think that we have to be real clear. You're going to have people that are always going to try to take advantage of other people.
That's right.
And hey, what I think the Republicans would say it, or the Supreme Court said, corporations are people too. So let's just go with that. Corporations being people too. Mm-hmm. We know that these people, corporations, have taken advantage of so many of us throughout the centuries. I mean, this isn't new. So there are going to be people among us, and not just corporations, but everyday people who will try to take advantage of other people. But then I tend to believe that there's a larger majority of us that will honor our obligations, that want to do the right thing, that are not trying to, intentionally break the law or intentionally take advantage of someone. So for those people, a lot of people who lost their houses, it wasn't their intention that, you know, I have the opportunity to buy a home and 6 months down the line, I'm going to be upside down in it, or I'm going to be kicked out of my home because I lost my job, or, you know, something, I wasn't real clear on how the mortgage rates, you know, these adjustable mortgage rates go. And so now my mortgage went from, I don't know, $650 up to $1,500. You know, a lot of people didn't know that.
That's right.
And when you blame the victim, that's what I have a problem with. Nobody's blaming the banks. Nobody's blaming these mortgage companies, the lenders. You want to blame the victim and say, well, it's your fault because you didn't do the research. And what you're doing is you're saying, listen, I'm serving as that individual that can assist you because this is my area of expertise. Everybody don't have time to sit down and read every single thing that comes across there, or all them papers you got to sign. You gotta have an attorney for stuff like that. So when someone like you comes along and says, listen, I can help you with this, you know, a lot of people are going to look at that and say, this guy is full of it, okay? You're telling me that all I need is a certificate of acknowledgement and they can't foreclose on my house, but you're backing it up.
That's right. Because, you know, I have some clients right now who have been spent over $8,000 in 2 years with an attorney trying to fight foreclosure. And we're able to actually fix the problem for them
for a lot less.
For a lot less in a matter of a week, because they're actually filing their papers actually this coming Friday. You know, and you know they all the way in New Jersey. You know, but what I've seen happen is, you know, like I just spoke to an attorney, not part of South Carolina, but another attorney. He himself didn't know what an acknowledgement and an acceptance of the deed was. But what happens is every time somebody get into foreclosure, the first thing that the attorneys will try to alert you to, or you ain't got to even get in contact with them, they will start calling you because they have the information. You know, when somebody's going into foreclosure, they'll start calling you and try to get you, see if they can get you into bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is actually only going to cost you more money. You're going to wind up paying one certain amount, and another, like one of the clients I got now, his mortgage is going to be, he got to pay $900 plus another $325 a month to the attorney.
You know what? There was a show that used to come on that really supported people going into bankruptcy, and I never understood that because I look at that as you absolutely, totally have no choice. That is like the last resort. But to do it as, okay, well, you know what? I got too many bills. Let me file for bankruptcy. I just thought that was irresponsible.
Yes.
You know? And I mean, because I'm one of those people that when you say you're going to do something, you need to do it. If you got this agreement, then you need to honor it. And it really bothers me when I deal with people that don't, because I have dealt with people who will say, oh, I'm going to do this, or yeah, we'll do this, or whatever. And then they change their mind, or they don't honor their word. I don't understand that. People run into problems. I get that. People run into problems, unforeseen things. But you try your best to honor your word. Yes. At least that's the one piece of advice that my dad gave me that I'll never forget. But he applied it to men. He said a real man always honors his word. I think a real human.
That's right.
Man or woman.
That's right.
Always honors his words. Okay, let's go back to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good. I'm listening at this caller, Ronald Wright.
The guest.
Yes, ma'am. And I really am hurt and a little disappointed because a couple of years ago I had to file bankruptcy. And with my bankruptcy, we had to pay $2,700 a month.
Ooh.
But on my job...
Can you turn your radio down? We're getting feedback.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Because I wanted to keep my house my husband was disabled. He is legally blind. He's on dialysis. And right now I am shaken because what happened to me on my job was ridiculous. I had to stay on that job to try to keep the house. But on that behalf, I've been sex abuse, harassed. The manager was grabbing my titty. And I did all of this just to keep my mortgage, just to keep my family in my house.
Well, I need you to be mindful of what you're saying on the air, though, because we are on live radio.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop right there.
Well,
there.
Okay, well, caller, I'm going to give out the number again, and maybe you can talk to Ronald, and he can offer you some assistance, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if I hit the dump button in time, but I tried. You can call him at 457-3499, 457-3499, because it sounds like she's just in dire straits. I mean, she's filed for bankruptcy. Her husband is disabled and legally blind. She also talked about having to stay in the job where she's being disrespected, and all for the purpose of being able to save her home. And it sounds like even after all of that, she may not have had the opportunity to. I don't know for sure if she was able to keep her home or not, but she really sounds like she's stressed out. So, caller, you can call. She can call you, correct?
Yes, she can call me.
You can check into her situation and see if you can help her. That telephone number again, caller, is going to be 457-3499, 457-3499. And if you're outside of Columbia or outside of South Carolina, the telephone number is 877-429-4605, 877-429-4605. That just makes me feel so sad, because I just hate for people to have to suffer. And, I don't understand living in the most, what we tout as the most powerful country in the world, and you got so many people that are suffering. I never understood that. So anyway, the show is already over, so I'm going to have to bring you in. We know for a fact that Ronald is going to come in at least once a month to talk to us, but I think I'm going to have to bring him in a little bit more than that. So anyway, Ronald, thank you so much for being a guest on the show.
You're welcome.
And again, the CEO of Money Matters, and you can check him out at birthingmoney.com. birthingmoney.com, Ronald Wright. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to Evolve on WOIC 1230 Columbia. Tomorrow, Baba Derek.